It's here, the mythical beast that is the Snyder Cut has finally been released to the world, and it is overall garnering more positive reviews than the theatrical version and has succeeded in its goal of showing fans Snyder's original plan for the film. But it's not just a new, longer runtime that is different in the Snyder Cut, as the number of new characters, and ones so different that they feel new, have been added to the mix. In this video, we'll take a look at every new character under the DC umbrella that made an appearance. Let's do this thing. Oh, and spoiler warning, there will be some Snyder Cut spoilers in this video, so, maybe go watch that thing. It's on this streaming service, HBO Max. It's kind of obscure, maybe you've not heard about it. Anyway, so the big mind-blowing cameo teased by Snyder turned out to be the one we kinda guessed all along, Martian Manhunter. Snyder had planned on including John Johns in the original cut in the scene where Lois and Martha, aka Martian Manhunter, are talking and Martha convinces Lois to re-enter the game. But this was another victim of Whedon and the cutting room floor, and it looked like Martian Manhunter's inclusion in the Justice League had been canned for good. But, as you know, Snyder did put this scene back into the movie in his version, with Martian Manhunter revealing himself to be Harry Lennox's General Swanwick. We were even treated to an extra slice of Martian pie, oh man, that sounds gross, at the very end of the movie when he gives Bruce Wayne a visit after his nightmare, with a K, because I can't pronounce the K, nightmare. On another day, Bruce might have found this whole encounter somewhat strange, but when you have just been battling aliens and dealing with apocalyptic nightmares, it's probably actually quite normal by his standards. If and when we will see Martian Manhunter again is unclear, but he did at least allude that he will be there for the next fight, assuming that actually happens. Who knows with the DCEU right now? But let's face it, it's not Justice League without Martian Manhunter, is it? Well, and also a certain green guy, but let's just ignore that.
Those movies are terrible.
Now, Jared Leto's Joker obviously is not new to the DCEU, and let's face it, if you don't have a strong opinion on Leto's Joker, you have at least heard one. But he was a new addition to the Justice League movie. During a nightmare scene riddled with F-bombs and, let's say adult references, we finally see Jared Leto's Joker and Ben Affleck's Batman in a full scene together, even if neither of the actors were actually in the room together. Not only does this scene remind us that long gone are the days of Adam West and Cesar Romero, it does tease Joker's importance in the impending apocalypse and insinuates that he is somehow vital to their survival. They also alluded to the death of Joker's former sidekick, Harley Quinn, as well as furthering the beef between Batman and the Joker, with Batman vowing that he will kill Joker slowly, while Joker is quick to remind Batman how he killed his golden boy, Robin. Those two just can't get along, can they? Will we see a full movie with Affleck and Leto actually in it together, though? Only time will tell. The Joker wasn't the only DC big bad to make an appearance in the Snyder Cut, with Ray Porter's Darkseid also showing up. Although the new god was mentioned by name by Steppenwolf in the theatrical cut, he actually physically made an appearance in the Snyder Cut and didn't disappoint. Darkseid has long been a fan favorite villain, so it was understandable then that fans became very excited when it was revealed that he would be making his way into Snyder's movie. However, despite this being his big screen debut, Darkseid's role was still predominantly working in the shadows, pulling the strings. But he did still prove himself a force to be reckoned with, and the ending also teased an impending invasion with Darkseid and his armada. Hopefully, though, this time we will see him going toe-to-toe with the Justice League in a physical fight, as opposed to just a staring competition. Don't worry, guys, you just gotta axe him nicely to go away. Hey, alright, let's move on. Two characters who actually got a proper introduction and some form of character development in this movie were both Ezra Miller's The Flash and Ray Fisher's Cyborg. And with their extended storylines, we got to see some new characters that are important to their mythology. First on the list is Barry Allen's love interest, Iris West, played by Kiersey Clemons. Iris West is an important figure in the world of Flash and even the co-leader of Team Flash. West was initially meant to be in the original version, but like so many on this list, was a victim to the editing room. Snyder did, however, decide to reinsert her back into the film in a moment where Barry saves her from nearly dying in a car accident, and it's safe to say he left quite an impression. I guess using your 6 speed powers to save someone will do that for you. Another character integral to Flash's backstory is his tragic father, Henry Allen. Now, while actor Billy Crudup did have a limited role as Barry's father in the theatrical cut with just one scene, he was given a little more screen time in the Snyder version, which is unsurprising, seeing as the duo have already worked together on Watchmen. However, this may feel like a strange choice as Henry Allen will be recast for the upcoming solo Flash movie due to a scheduling conflict. Or maybe it's just because Barry changed the timeline, who knows. Either way, I'm gonna miss that Billy Crudup and his sexy blue abs. Another character that was sadly cut from the theatrical version was Junkai's Ryan Choi, who comic book fans will know as the second version of the Atom. Snyder finally gave Choi the screen time he deserved, with him working with Cyborg's father, Silas Stone, at Star Labs as his young assistant. His role was still relatively minor and somewhat fleeting, but the movie teased that we might even see Ryan as the Atom sometime in the future. But to be honest, I'm not holding my breath on that one. Speaking of Silas Stone and Cyborg's backstory, although Joe Morton did appear as Silas Stone in the theatrical cut, he is again given way more screen time in the Snyder version. With Cyborg having a more prominent role in the Snyder cut, we see more of his relationship with his father, and although they have an iffy relationship to say the very least, their development helps drive the movie forward. And let's face it, that death scene was just darn heartbreaking. Another addition with the Snyder Cut was showing Cyborg's mother, Elinore, and how she was a much more present figure in Victor's life than Silas. Whatever your thoughts are on both the theatrical cut and the Snyder Cut, I think we can all agree that it was nice to see some more of Cyborg's backstory. Darkseid wasn't the only god to make their debut in the Snyder Cut, with his minion and one of his closest servants, Desaad, making their cinematic entrance. Desaad, who was played by Peter Guinness, basically acts as a middleman, or middle god, I guess, who relays information between Steppenwolf and Darkseid, and, like my boss Karen, is constantly micromanaging to make sure he is doing his job. For goodness sake, Karen, I'm talking as fast as I can! With Desaad remaining as Darkseid's second in command at the end of the movie, it is likely he will play a part in any future Snyder-led Justice League movies. But again, there was another new god and Jack Kirby creation to make it into the Snyder Cut, albeit in a brief background appearance, and that is Granny Goodness. To be honest though, you would be forgiven for missing her, as she is not actually called out by name or given basically any material or real screen time. Plus, she's not voiced by Ed Asner, and that's the only way you can really have a proper Granny Goodness, you know what I'm saying?
Still, we can remedy that.
I know this is probably me cheating here, as again, they already appeared in the theatrical version, but Snyder's original vision of Steppenwolf was almost completely different to the one we saw in the theatrical version. While their role and goal is the same, tracking down the mother boxes and bringing death and destruction to Earth, all in the name of their leader Darkseid, the Steppenwolf we see in the Snyder Cut is the version of the character we wanted to see all along. Played by Kieran Hines, Steppenwolf is looking to redeem himself in the eyes of Darkseid, and not only does he look cooler, but he is much more fleshed out as a whole. Also, his death was way too satisfying, even if it was literally the definition of overkill. But hey, at least he got what he wanted and made it home. Now again, Deathstroke did actually appear in the theatrical version, appearing in the same scene alongside Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, but we actually get to see a little more of Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. Like a whole 2 minutes more, despite the scene with Luthor teasing a prior hatred between both Deathstroke and Batman. With Luthor giving Wilson the task of hunting Bruce Wayne, they seem to make somewhat of an amends during the nightmare scene. Not only did they seem to have made amends though, but Deathstroke was even one of Batman's core allies, and was the one to question whether or not they really needed the Joker, just like every DC fan after watching Suicide Squad. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. A little behind the scenes here, actually. I actually really like Jared Leto's Joker. But this is not an opinion piece, just a place for me to list off names and make bad jokes. So moving on. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, J.K. Simmons' Commissioner Gordon isn't exactly a new recruit to the DCEU or the Justice League movie, but he was another character who was given a more vital role in the Snyder Cut. Okay, this entry isn't exactly playing fair, since Gordon's role is only slightly extended here, so oh look, there's Ares from Wonder Woman along with his Papa Bear Zeus and Goddess of the Hunt Artemis, all three showing Darkseid what's up and saving Earth in the process. Bonus fact, while David Thewlis's face and voice are used for Ares, the body belongs to actor Nick McKinless, who wound up putting on a ton of muscle for a role he didn't get proper credit for until this release. So, good job getting all hunky, Nick. Willem Dafoe may have appeared in the Aquaman movie, but he was left out of the original Justice League cut. As Aquaman was released in 2018, 1 year after the original Justice League, Aquaman and the world of Atlantis were yet to be established. Now, while Amber Heard's Mira managed to make it into both movies, Willem Dafoe's Vulko was left on the cutting room floor by Whedon. But Willem Dafoe did get a chance to dazzle, as he always does in the Snyder Cut, with it even being revealed that he was the one who actually gave Arthur his famous trident. They also got to show off Dafoe's new haircut, which, not every man can pull it off, but somehow he does. So, these are the appearances that happened, but let's end on one that didn't. Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. Snyder didn't go into details, but he did reveal that he had an idea for the character, and if they did include Green Lantern, they would have incorporated Reynolds into the movie. Guess we're gonna have to petition for the Reynolds cut now. Hashtag release the Reynolds cut, hashtag, I've never been good at these.